The first sound was not the familiar melody of the dawn birds, nor the gentle stirring of your mother in the next room. It was the alien crunch of reed sandals on the packed earth just outside your door, a sound too deliberate, too heavy for a neighbor paying an early visit. You wake instantly, your heart a frantic bird beating against your ribs. In the pre-dawn gloom of the mud brick house, the air hangs thick and heavy, a suffocating blanket woven from the metallic tang of ceremonial incense and the cloying sweetness of dust. It's the deep dark before the sun asserts its reign over Mesopotamia, the hour of ghosts and gods. Your small hands, no more than 12 summers old, instinctively clutch the coarse woolen blanket your mother wove last harvest, its familiar scent of lanolin and hearth smoke a fragile shield against the unknown. A sharp, authoritative knock echoes through the small dwelling. It's a sound that doesn't ask for entry, it commands it. Your mother's soft gasp cuts through the silence from the other side of the partition. You hear the rustle of her tunic, the soft pad of her bare feet, and then the groaning complaint of the wooden latch being lifted. A wedge of flickering torchlight slices into the darkness, painting the humble room in violent strokes of orange and black. Standing silhouetted in the doorway are not uncles or merchants. They are priests from the great temple of Marduk, their presence sucking the very warmth from the air. Their shaved heads gleam with a dull, oily sheen in the unsteady light, a stark contrast to the intricate, deep purple of their robes, a color so rich it speaks of immense wealth, of crushed murex snails hauled from the distant Great Sea. One of them, the clear leader, steps forward. He is a mountain of a man, his long, square beard meticulously curled into tight, symmetrical ringlets, like a scorpion's tail poised to strike. His eyes, lined heavily with black coal, survey the room with an unnerving lack of interest, dismissing your mother's terrified reverence, dismissing the meager furniture, until they land on you, on your small form frozen in the thin bed of straw and wool. He moves with a chilling grace, crossing the floor in 3 long strides. He kneels, bringing his face close to yours. His breath is a hot, dry wind against your ear, carrying the scent of anise and something else, something acrid and ancient. He speaks, and his voice is not a whisper, but a low, resonant hum, a vibration that seems to start deep in the earth and travel up through the floor into your bones. The words are in the high, formal Akkadian of ritual, a cadence that promises divine favor, but feels like a death sentence. He speaks of Ishtar, the morning and evening star. He speaks of purity, of a sacred calling, of an honor bestowed upon your house. In the corner, your mother has collapsed into a silent storm of grief. Her body is racked with soundless sobs, her calloused fingers twisting the hem of her simple linen tunic, wringing the fabric as if she could wring the fate from this moment. She knows, as every citizen of Babylon knows, that you cannot refuse a god's call. To do so would be to invite ruin not just upon your own family, but upon your entire clan. Fields blighted, livelihoods stripped, names erased from the ledgers of the living. A cold, unstoppable fear coils in your gut, a dread as vast and as chilling as the Euphrates in full flood. You feel your own voice trapped in your throat, a silent scream that cannot find release. Their hands are strong, impersonal, as they lift you from your bed. The rough-spun wool of your sleeping tunic is no defense against the sudden, shocking bite of the night air on your bare arms and legs. You catch one last glimpse of your mother's face, a mask of anguish illuminated by the receding torchlight, her mouth open in a wail that you will hear in your dreams for years to come. Then you are outside, carried into the star-dusted streets of Babylon. Above you, the sky is a velvet canopy pricked with 1,000 diamond-sharp points of light. But your eyes are fixed on the thing that dominates the skyline, that swallows the stars and scrapes the heavens. The great ziggurat, Etemen monkey, looms over the city like a shadowed, monolithic giant, a layered mountain of baked brick waiting patiently to swallow you whole. They do not carry you for long. Once in the main alley, they set you on your feet. The rough, uneven paving stones are cold and sharp against your soles, and you stumble. The priest's grip tightens on your shoulder, a grip of absolute ownership. His rings, carved from lapis and carnelian, dig into your flesh like the talons of a lion. He says nothing more, but the message is clear. You will walk. You will not falter. You are no longer a boy. You are an offering. You are marched through the winding labyrinth of the sleeping city. The homes of baked clay and timber are silent, their latticed windows dark, save for the occasional flicker of a lone oil lamp, casting long, dancing shadows that twist into monstrous shapes on the walls. You can hear the city's heart beating around you, the distant bark of a dog, the rustle of a rat in a pile of refuse, and the constant, low murmur of the river nearby. Its waters, the lifeblood of the empire, move dark and sluggish under the waning moon, carrying the precious silt that feeds the endless fields beyond the city's colossal gates. Babylon, in this 18th century before the Christ, under the formidable rule of King Hammurabi, is the center of the known world, a sprawling, living beast of commerce and worship. And its heart, you are now learning, pulses with a relentless, divine hunger. That hunger has now called your name. The air itself begins to change as you are propelled closer to the temple enclosure. The simple, familiar smells of the city, baking bread, sleeping livestock, the dust of the thoroughfares, fall away, replaced by a potent, almost dizzying perfume. It is the sacred scent of the gods, a complex tapestry of myrrh and cedarwood burning in ornate bronze braziers, the smoke rising in thick, lazy columns to mingle with the stars. The very atmosphere feels heavier here, charged with an invisible energy that makes the fine hairs on your arms stand on end. You are no longer in the Babylon of men, but on the threshold of a realm governed by far older, more unforgiving laws. The guards at the main gate are giants, their polished copper-tipped spears catching the torchlight with lethal glints. They stand impassive, their faces emotionless beneath heavy helmets adorned with the exotic feathers of birds traded from the distant, half-mythical land of Dilmun. They do not challenge your procession. Their eyes slide over you, a boy of no consequence, and fix on the purple robes of the priests. With a silent, synchronized nod, they step aside, and the massive, bronze-banded wooden gates swing inward without a sound. You step from the grit of the street onto smooth, immaculate flagstones, and the world transforms. The temple courtyard is a city within the city, humming with a disciplined nocturnal activity that feels both alien and deeply unsettling. Despite the late hour, dozens of figures move with quiet purpose across the vast open space. Acolytes, boys not much older than yourself, are sweeping the stones with brooms made from palm fronds. Their movements are mechanical, their backs bowed in a permanent posture of submission, their eyes perpetually downcast. They are ghosts in the torchlight, their young faces already etched with the solemnness that belongs to old men. Their shaved heads and simple white kilts mark them as the lowest rank in this complex, rigid hierarchy, a life of endless ritual and sparse meals of barley bread and dates. Your desperate gaze darts from one face to the next, searching for a flicker of sympathy, a sign of shared humanity. For a heart-stopping moment, you think you find it. One of the sweeping boys, positioned near the shadow of a colossal statue of a winged bull, looks up. His eyes meet yours across the courtyard. For an instant, the veil of detached obedience drops, and you see something raw and real in his gaze. A deep, hollowed-out weariness, a flicker of what might be pity, or perhaps a warning. His mouth opens slightly, as if to speak, to whisper a single word of caution that might save you. But the moment is shattered before it can fully form. A sharp, dry cough from a senior priest standing nearby echoes across the stones. It's a sound as effective as a whip crack. The acolyte's eyes snap back to the ground, his face once more an impassive mask, his broom resuming its relentless, whispering sweep. The unspoken rule hangs in the air, thick and suffocating. No words against the will of the gods. The power here flows from a single unseen source, the high priest, a man whose name is whispered in awe and terror, Enmerkar. His decisions, guided by the grim omens read from the livers of sacrificed sheep, are as binding and as final as the current of the Euphrates. The priests guide you past the central fountain, its waters shimmering under the starlight, and away from the grand ceremonial staircase leading up the ziggurat's face. They lead you instead toward a smaller, less conspicuous doorway set into the base of the temple proper. The corridors inside are narrow and suffocating after the open expanse of the courtyard. The air is cool and stale, smelling of old stone, lamp oil, and something else, the faint, metallic scent of old blood. The walls are covered in painted frescoes, vibrant depictions of snarling lions and charging bulls locked in eternal, brutal combat, the sacred animals of Ishtar, vivid symbols of the goddess's dual nature, sublime love and merciless war. The flickering lamps cast long, distorted shadows, making the painted beasts seem to writhe and leap from the walls, their silent roars echoing in the corridors of your mind. Finally, they stop before a heavy, solid wooden door, reinforced with thick iron studs. The lead priest produces a large, ornate bronze key from a fold in his robe and turns it in the lock. The sound of the tumblers shifting is obscenely loud in the profound silence. The door groans open, revealing a small, windowless chamber within. The room is bare, austere. It contains only a simple straw mat on the floor, a clay jug of water, and a single sputtering tallow candle that casts more shadow than light. The air inside is thick with the scent of olive oil and old sweat. This is not a guest room. It is a cell. This is where your old life will be stripped away, piece and painful piece. They push you, gently but firmly, inside. You stumble onto the cold stone floor, turning just in time to see their impassive faces before the heavy door swings shut, plunging you into near-total darkness. The final, soul-crushing sound is the heavy thud of the bolt sliding into place on the other side. You are alone, trapped in the belly of the beast. The heavy thud of the bolt is a sound of absolute finality. It severs your connection to the world you knew as cleanly as a knife cuts thread. For a long moment, you don't move, your mind refusing to process the totality of your entrapment. Then, panic, raw and primal, erupts. You scramble to your feet, your hands slapping against the cold, unyielding wood of the door. You beat against it, first with your palms, then with your fists, the dull thuds swallowed by the thick stone walls. A scream tears from your throat, high and desperate, followed by another and another until your voice is a raw, shredded whisper. You call for your mother, for your father taken by the last flood, for anyone. The only reply is the mocking echo of your own terror in the suffocating confines of the cell. Exhaustion finally overwhelms you. You slide down the door, your body trembling, your cheek pressed against the rough, splintery wood, and you weep. Time dissolves in the unblinking darkness. There is no sun to mark the day, no moon for the night. Your world shrinks to the dimensions of this stone box, to the feel of the rough straw mat beneath you and the profound, oppressive silence. This silence becomes a physical presence, a weight pressing on your eardrums, broken only by the frantic drumming of your own heart. Once a day, or what you perceive as a day, the bolt on the door scrapes back. The sound is a shock, a violation of the quiet, and it sends a jolt of pure adrenaline through you. The door never opens fully. It cracks just enough for an anonymous hand to slide a fresh jug of water inside and retrieve the old one. You never see a face, never hear a word. The water is cool and has a strange, woody aftertaste from the tamarisk leaves steeped within it, a taste the priests believe purifies the blood. To you, it just tastes of imprisonment. Hunger is a constant gnawing companion. At first, it's a sharp pain, a hollow ache in your belly that makes you double over. But after the second or third cycle of darkness, the pain subsides into a dull, pervasive weakness that saps your will, leaving you lethargic and dizzy. Your body is being deliberately broken, your resistance starved into submission. It is in this weakened state that your mind begins to betray you. The darkness writhes. The painted lions and bulls from the corridor frescoes stalk the edges of your vision, their silent roars filling your head. You retreat into memory, seeking refuge in a past that now feels like another lifetime. You see your mother's hands, flour-dusted, kneading dough. You smell the rich, damp earth of the barley fields after a rain. You feel the sun, warm and brilliant on your face, as you chase dragonflies by the canal, their wings a blur of iridescent blue. These memories are a sweet, excruciating torture, each one a fresh reminder of the world that has been stolen from you. And then a new sound seeps through the stone walls, faint at first, then growing more distinct. It is the sound of chanting, but it's not the deep, resonant drone of the male priests you heard before. This is a high-pitched, haunting lament, a chorus of voices that seem to exist somewhere between a man's and a woman's. It is the sound of the Gala, the eunuch priests of the temple, singing their sorrowful hymns to Tammuz's slain consort. The sound is beautiful and terrifying, a melody of profound grief that speaks of unspeakable loss. It slides under the door and wraps around you, a premonition of your own future, a song of what you are to become. On the night the chants seem loudest, the bolt slides back with a definitive, heavy clang. This time, the door swings fully open. Standing framed in the torchlight is the high priest, Enmerkar. He enters the cell not as a jailer, but as a being of immense, unassailable authority. His embroidered robes, heavy with gold thread imported from the mines of Anatolia, seem to absorb the meager light. Amulets of polished lapis lazuli, brought on long caravans from the distant mountains of Badakhshan, clink softly on his chest. He sits cross-legged on the floor before you, his movements fluid and deliberate. His eyes, ancient and unnervingly calm, probe yours, searching not for fear, but for defiance. The goddess requires a pure vessel, he says, his voice as smooth and cool as polished obsidian. A soul untroubled by mortal desires, a body untouched by worldly corruption. She has chosen you for this great honor. You want to scream, to spit, to beg, to claw at his serene face, but the weakness from the hunger and the sheer overwhelming power of his presence seal your lips. Fear has turned your muscles to stone. He sees the terror in your eyes, the silent, frantic plea, and he misinterprets it as acceptance. He leans closer, the scent of expensive incense wafting from his robes. In a hushed, reverent tone, he explains the rite. He does not speak with cruelty or malice, but with the unshakable conviction of a man who truly believes that the gods' ravenous hunger must be sated, that this sacrifice is the linchpin holding the universe in balance. He speaks of a severing, a transformation that will grant you eternal communion with the divine, making you a holy instrument for her lamentations. He speaks of preserving your purity forever. The unspoken truth hangs between you, more potent than any threat he could voice. Refusal is not an option. Refusal means not just your death, but your family's utter disgrace and ruin, their land seized, their names cursed. He finishes speaking, nods once, and rises. The door closes, the bolt slams home, and you are left in the darkness once more. But this time, the silence is not empty. It is filled with the horrifying, absolute certainty of the knife. The dawn they choose for you is cruelly beautiful. The first fingers of light spill over the eastern walls, gilding the highest tier of the ziggurat in blazing gold. But you are not permitted to see it. You are led from your cell, your legs unsteady from hunger, down a series of cold, torchlit corridors to a secluded sanctum deep within the temple's heart. The air here is thick and suffocating, a sickening cocktail of sharp vinegar used to clean the tools, the cloying sweetness of burning narcotics meant to dull the senses, and the faint, coppery ghost of old spilled blood. In the center of the chamber rests a low, wooden altar. It is not ornate. It is a tool, its surface worn smooth from countless uses, its grain stained a deep, dark brown. This is a place of unmaking. Two silent, muscular acolytes seize you, their grips like iron clamps on your arms. They strip away your simple tunic, the last shred of your former life, leaving you naked and shivering uncontrollably in the chill air. They force you onto the altar, binding your wrists and ankles to the wood with thick ropes woven from date palm fibers. The fibers bite deep into your skin, rough and abrasive. You struggle, a last futile surge of defiance, but you are as helpless as a lamb in a lion's jaws. The high priest, Enmerkar, stands at the head of the altar, his face a mask of serene piety as he begins a low, monotonous hymn to Ishtar, his voice joined by the other priests who ring the chamber. Their chanting is meant to be a holy chorus, but to you it is a terrifying drone, a death shroud of sound. Then you see him. A man named Sholgi Ahil, the temple's chief surgeon, steps into the light. His hands, you notice with a detached sense of horror, are steady. His brow is furrowed in concentration, not malice. He is a craftsman about to perform his trade. He picks up a small, crescent-shaped bronze knife, its edge honed to a wicked gleam. As he approaches, your own cries finally break free, raw and animalistic, mingling with the priest's sacred hymns. You scream until your throat is raw, a desperate, primal sound of a creature facing its end. The pain, when it comes, is not a cut. It is an explosion. It is a sun detonating behind your eyes, a bolt of pure, white-hot agony that vaporizes thought, memory, and self. Your body arches violently against the ropes, a convulsion of pure nerve and suffering. The world dissolves into a storm of blinding light, and then, mercifully, it dissolves into nothing at all. You wake in pieces. Consciousness returns not as a swift tide, but in slow, agonizing ripples. You are in a long, dim room, an infirmary, lying on a pallet of straw. The air is thick with the scent of feverish bodies, herbal poultices, and human misery. A dull, throbbing ache has settled deep within you, a constant burning reminder of what was taken. For days you drift in a delirium, the line between waking and fever dream blurred into meaninglessness. You hear the low groans of others around you, a chorus of shared suffering. In the dark, a boy on the pallet next to yours whispers to you. His name is Belshunu, his voice already thin and reedy from the change. He tells you of his home near the river, of the wind whispering through the date palms, of his father's fishing boat. His grief is a palpable thing in the darkness, a shared weight that is both a comfort and an added burden. You listen to his whispered sorrows and offer none of your own. Your pain is a sealed tomb within you. The priests and their attendants move through the infirmary with detached efficiency, like farmers tending their livestock. They change your bandages, forcing bitter, healing salves of crushed garlic and honey into the wound, their touch clinical, their eyes offering no comfort. Weeks crawl by. The physical wound slowly scabs and scars over, but a deeper wound remains. One morning, an acolyte helps you to your feet. You feel a strange new lightness, a horrifying emptiness at your core. They lead you to a polished copper sheet that serves as a mirror. The boy who stares back is a stranger. His face is gaunt, his eyes are hollowed-out pits of shadow, but it's more than that. Something essential has been altered, erased. They dress you not in the tunic of a boy, but in the flowing linen skirts of the temple servants, dyed a deep indigo with expensive pigment from Phoenician traders. The fabric is soft and alien against your scarred skin. Your new life unfolds to the rhythm of the temple bell. You are taught the sacred dances of the Kurguru, intricate, stylized movements that mimic the goddess's great battles and her inconsolable